And we're off and running on the Krueger Show Saturday morning. Joined by the coach, Dual Channel Extravaganza on this Saturday. Hope everybody's doing well. You had a great Friday night. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass. MarinAutoGlass.com on the web, 415-883-3030. Underdog Fantasy is one of our sponsors as well. Check the link. It's in the description. Use that promo code Krueg, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. Coach, how are you, man? Good morning. Good afternoon in the, or I know it's still morning. We're getting rolling early. 8:51 West Coast, 11:51 East Coast. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Got up, got out, took Hanny out running, so he's over there snoring in the corner. He's fat in head. A tired pup is a good pup. And we just got finished running. It's raining out here. And we're ready to talk some Niners ball, man. And we're finally getting some things contextualized about the season. One of the shoes dropped with our offensive line. Obviously, the draft is rapidly approaching, off-season implications, and our cap. So we're moving and grooving, man. How you been, Larry?
I've been good. I'm wearing a Braves jersey because I'm coaching my youngest son, later today, which is why we're starting a little on the early side today, because I've got to be on the field with the rest of the Braves coaches. Man, what it takes to coach Little League. I did training on, will these kids have a heart attack? I did training on, Positive Coaching Alliance. I did sexual harassment training. I'm well-trained. I'm a well-trained coach at this point. So if anybody heckles me today on the field, I'm just going to be like, hey, look, I went through 15 hours of training for this. You didn't. So shut the hell up. No, but it does make me laugh what it takes now to work with kids. Probably a positive development. All right. The 49ers have $296.6 million in adjusted salary cap, which is among, if not the most, in the NFL. The NFL salary cap is $255.4 million. The Niners carried over $36 million from last year. They got back money as a credit, and they've reworked a couple contracts, I believe. And the cap went up $31 million. They're in the final year before Brock Purdy gets paid his big money before 2025. And Monday, 9 a.m. West Coast, the legal tampering period begins. Wednesday is the official new NFL year beginning. And I would imagine the Niners are going to restructure a couple people. They may release somebody here in the next day or two. But we don't know exactly who's coming or going. But they want to make another run at the Super Bowl. And there's a pretty interesting article out in the Chronicle by Eric Branch. He says, will the big swinging 49ers take one last hack in free agency to try to get over the hump? And that's really what they've done the last couple of years with Mooney Ward, with Javon Hargrave, is they've made the big signing trying to win the Super Bowl, and it hasn't worked. And he's throwing out names like Danielle Hunter, who's 29. He's going to be the biggest edge rushing prize available when free agency begins on Monday. Mm-hmm. And he ranked 5th in the NFL this year with a career high 16.5 sacks, his 5th double-digit sack season since 2016. He ranks 11th among active players with 87.5 sacks. If it isn't him, it could be Jonathan Greenard. It could be Christian Wilkins. It could be any number of big-name free agents. What do you think, Coach? Where are you with the Niners in free agency? Would you like to see them, kind of do the formula the way they've done the formula the last few years? Let everybody walk away, take the compensatory selections, and make one big free agent signing. And if you like the plan, give me a free agent you want to see him go after.
Okay. Well, I like the way you set me up there because it's exactly where I'm at right now. If there was a plan, right? I don't necessarily agree with this. I don't think they will make a big swing in free agency, but let's play make believe. If they did, out of the names listed, you do see Danielle Hunter, of course. There's our favorite heartthrob, Kirk Cousins, which I think is definitely a pipe dream. Then you have some other sneaky guys out there as far as offensive line. I believe Ragnow is available. Lloyd Christianberry is available. That's somebody that I think is a little bit too rich for our blood. Bryce Huff is available as well. And then you could also just, look at what's hiding in plain sight and re-sign Chase Young. That may be something that could obviously be a team-friendly deal, if you will. But for me, if we had to do it, and I don't agree that we will, I would kick the tires on Leonard Williams.
Okay.
It's been widely known that Eric Armstead is about to make $28 million this year. At this stage of his career, I think it would be wishful thinking to believe that he's going to get through a full season. And right now, we need a shot in the arm in the interior of our defensive line. It's a big issue. It's a problem for us stopping the run. And I understand that we do have issues with the edge, and we would like to get another requisite pass rusher to balance out our pass rush and help out Nick Bosa. But I mentioned this on other shows. I think that getting a pass rusher is it's such a commonplace element in the game nowadays that you can get a pass rusher. You can find one. You can get the guys where you can almost get a guy where his skill set is pass rushing and kind of build upon him along the way. I think we tried to do that with Drake Jackson, but his body just didn't hold up. So I feel like pass rusher, in order to go on a pass rusher, it would have to be somebody who's a day one starter and that matters. And that would completely kill our cap, in my opinion. However, I do believe that getting some veteran presence on the interior of our defensive line, particularly in stopping the run, Leonard Williams could do that for us in spades. He's a big body. It would actually be almost kind of like a scheme fit laterally as far as Eric Armstead and him both being on the field together, or sparing Eric Armstead and possibly getting a full season out of him if we get somebody like Leonard Williams. Conversely, I think we all know that Javon Hargrave he's left much to be desired as far as being a number one overall free agent acquisition for us. I mean, he did well, but he's not doing well enough for the money that he's getting paid. And I feel like when our best performances of our defense have come alive, it's when we have a good, consistent depth and wave of defensive line. I feel like a guy like Leonard Williams could propose a lot of things for us and also be able to help out with younger pass rushers. That's primarily one of the issues why we can't use some of the pass rushers that we have in a Robert Beal or younger guys in a Spencer Wagey before he had to go, is because, you got to finish your vegetables before you get to your dessert. And I don't care how good your edges are, if you can't push the pocket vertically, right, with your defensive line and actually make that quarterback have to step back and not be able to step up in the pocket, I mean, that hurts everything on a defensive line. And I think we saw that this year with the lack of interior presence, particularly in the run game. So if we had to do it, I would say the cheap way to do it was to probably draft the guy, or if you were going to do it, probably solve your edge issue and just re-sign Chase Young, which I don't necessarily agree with, but there is a money implication where we could get a team-friendly deal. But if you swung for the fences, I wouldn't be mad at Leonard Williams.
It's a good name. He can do a lot. He can play, 3 technique, 5 technique. He can play end. He can, he's an edge. He can be an edge. He can be pretty much anything you want. He's been a very versatile performer. He's strong at the point. That's a good name, I think, because you can, you don't know who's going to come of age or what the rest of your offseason is going to look like. He might check a lot of boxes. The NFL distributed the comp picks for the 2024 draft on Friday, and the 49ers were awarded 5 additional selections, tied with the Rams for the most in the NFL this year. So now the Niners have 99, 132, 175, 211, and 215 in addition to the picks they had previously. And you say, well, how did they get those comp picks? It's because guys like Alshire, Brunskill, Ebukam, Garoppolo, McGlinchey, Mosley, Amenahue, Ridgeway, Jimmy Ward, those guys all left. And then the Niners signed Darnold, Farrell, Hargrove, and Oliver. But that was that formula of those many guys leaving and that many guys coming got them to where they're at as far as the comp picks. And the Niners, by the way, if you think, man, they've earned a lot of comp picks. They really have, as far as compensatory picks tied to free agency since 1994. The Niners have gotten 43 compensatory picks, the sixth most of any team during that span.
That's
so, yeah, I mean, that's a lot. And the Niners, they're getting, if you looked at that, that's going back to 94. If you just look during the Lynch regime, I would say the Niners far and away lead the NFL in compensatory picks earned, because this is their plan. I mean, they let all their free agents walk and they go sign very, very few. I mean, just looking at their potential free agents, I could see Chris Conley come back, but Ray McLeod, Matt Pryor, Ben Barch, Charlie Warner, Sam Darnold, Ross Dwelly, I think those guys are probably all leaving. I mean, on offense, I would say Conley, Feliciano, and maybe Brandon Allen return. I think the rest of those guys are walking out the door. And on defense,
you think Jauan's gone too?
Well, Jauan Jennings.
Yeah.
He's kind of in his own category because he can't leave.
Exactly.
He's got to leave. The Niners can, or they can trade him, but he can't leave on his own this year. They can match and keep him, but he's restricted. I think he's going to stay, but I'm not convinced of that, just simply because I think, he's coming off a game where he was fantastic in the Super Bowl. Everybody saw it.
I mean, he would have been the MVP if we won, in my opinion.
Right.
He's my MVP.
Yeah. So, I mean, is somebody going to pay him big money? No. The Niners put a second round tender, so I don't think they're going to let him go for a second. I don't think anybody's going to sign him. But there could be some teams that really badly want him and then say, hey, you know what? We don't want to offer a second, but we'll give you a third, and we're going to pay Jauan a ton, and that's what we want, and that's possible, and I think we could see that. But I think it's going to happen behind the scenes. But as far as the other defensive free agents, Randy Gregory, Javon Kinlaw, Kevin Givens, Chase Young, Cleveland Farrell, Sebastian Joseph Day, Oren Burks, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Tayshaun Gibson, Logan Ryan. I would be shocked if the Niners re-sign more than one of those guys. I bet you they'll sign either Chase Young or Farrell, but not both, and everybody else walks. That would be my guess. So they're going to have a bunch of guys are going to walk out the door in the way I see it. And then it comes down to, are the Niners going to take a big swing in free agency? And I think it's kind of their mindset to do that. This year, I don't know who would be. I mean, I listed the free agents that I would be interested in a list yesterday. I had Brian Burns, but then they tagged him. Chris Jones, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Danielle Hunter, Darius Williams, the corner, who's worked with Staley before. Kenny Moore, the slot corner. Devin White, the linebacker. Leonard Floyd, the D-end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Bryce Huff. Who else do I have here? Aziz Al-Shaair, Darnell Savage, Nick Allegretti, Willie Gay from the Chiefs, and maybe Christian Wilkins. To me, the guy that I could see them going after is Christian Wilkins, just because they always seem like they value D-line, and they're not going to get Jones. I think Wilkins, I'm really shocked the Dolphins,
that's surprising.
Didn't tag Wilkins. What do you think of Wilkins as a name?
I think he's too rich for our blood. I mean, he'd be amazing to have. I feel like Wilkins. I feel like the moment we get Wilkins, we'll immediately feel horrible about Javon Hargrave being on the team. I feel like he'll outplay him. One of the big things about Chris Wilkins is his motor. He has a relentless motor, relentless pass rush. He's good at stopping the run. And he'll be an instant leader. Great personality, by the way, if you ever got a chance to hear him on Mic'd Up. He'd be an awesome guy to have. One of the names that you brought up that I liked was Nick Allegretti. I feel like that'd be a sneaky good way to sneak in that guard, that competition at right guard. We've already re-signed Colton. It's obvious that they like him, and it's kind of like it's apropos of a team that doesn't value offensive line. We don't value the position necessarily. I mean, we whiffed on Mike McGlinchey. Aaron Banks was good, but outside of that, we necessarily haven't had anybody stick there. And with them paying Colton, I think that it's time for us to start looking at possibly a guard or possibly a center in offensive line. That's why I like Nick Allegretti. I think that he could be somebody for us, that veteran guy, can play across the entire offensive line. Has played in the biggest games of the year, and is very consistent. He'd be somebody that I think would instantly upgrade the entire offensive line, because that's a thing. It's a chain reaction on offensive line. It's like, you can have a guy that may be deficient in one area, but you could put him next to a stronger guy and they'll figure it out. They'll work on it. But if you put two deficient guys next to each other, it's just all downhill from there, right? And then all you're doing is just catching up from their deficiencies. I feel like you can stop that with putting in a better guard. You put in a better guard, I feel like it'll help Jake Brindle and also elevate the play of Colton McKivitz. So that's kind of like my take on it.
Allegretti to me, it is ready to jump. We talked to him the other day. He's won 3 rings. Last year he would have jumped, but he had twin girls that were born right around the same time as free agency. He didn't want to have that much change. I now that he's got 3 rings, I think it's time for him to get paid. And I don't think he's going to get paid a mint, but he also wants to be a full-time starter. So, maybe you make him the starter at right guard.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I feel
what do you
like
do with Burford, then you shop Burford.
It's got to go. You know what I'm saying? It's been nice. Or maybe, yeah, because if you shop Burford, then you got Feliciano as a strong backup. So Burford probably would be the odd man out unless he could play center.
Or right tackle in a pinch.
Well, he played tackle in college. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't be that big of a jump. He played left tackle in college. I like bringing in Nick Allegretti because in certain aspects, I feel as though we may have put 20 on 10 with the offensive line. And we kind of blew past some of the things that were staring us right in the face. They needed and I have kind of been saying it, but not taking it to the next level in my thought process. I've already been saying that we have enough to win a Super Bowl. We were better than the Chiefs, right? This team is a Super Bowl winning team. This team is a championship level team. That's my main point. So really, do we need like an off the wall great offensive line to be better? No, but it'd be nice. I feel like from a fan standpoint, we think about the traditional way of building a team where it's like, okay, the O-line's bad. The reason why the O-line was bad, we spent a lot of picks on Trey. Trey was our first round pick for 3 years in a row, right? And we didn't have a chance to really invest in it. Now we do. This is the deepest tackle draft in a while, Larry. There's like a legit 5 to 6 starters that could start.
I think more. I think it's more like 10, but yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, I didn't want to get challenged. I believe that too, but sometimes you just got to tone it down for people. You gotta be balanced. But I believe that as well, really. But I know there's at least 6 starters that could come in and get drafted and play day one. And so it's right there for the taking. And I feel as though that we all were thinking that this is kind of like the easy algebra that you should be able to do. Like, we have a bad offensive line. We need a tackle. It's draft time. Let's draft a tackle. But that's not really how the Niners are looking at it. I feel like they are looking at it as if they need an upgraded tackle. I mean, they need an upgraded offensive line, but they don't need an overhaul. They're probably looking at this as though Colton McKivitz was adequate. This is his first year start, and he's only going to get better. And he wasn't necessarily losing us games. Jake Brindle knows the calls, does what he's supposed to do. And yeah, he may not be, a plus athlete on the physical side, but he gets the job done. Our biggest issue right now is being able to find a starting level guard. Like, I could see them really looking at it this way. And if that's the case, then that frees up all types of possibilities in the draft because you can go get Nick Allegretti and call it a day. Then just say, that's our offensive line. We're redoing it. We just changed our guard. We feel strong about this process. Giddy up and go. That's our retool.
I mean, they have 12 picks, so
they're not going to use all those picks.
But even if they did, I mean, how realistically, they need an offensive lineman, but they don't have to use the first pick on an offensive lineman. They could use one of the later picks on an offensive lineman. Some of the other rumors around the NFL with things rolling on Monday. These are some of the things that have happened today or in the last couple of days. One, Russell Wilson has met with the New York Giants. The Steelers released Patrick Peterson. The Ravens extended. They franchise tagged and then extended Justin Matabuke. So he's staying there. The Giants are hosting Darius Williams, who was cut by the Jaguars, a guy that I really think might be a good fit for the 49ers. But the Giants are hosting him. The Bears are hosting Kevin Byard on a visit. They're looking to upgrade. The Eagles are shopping, according to Diana Rossini. She says the Eagles have been shopping both Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick for the last few weeks. That's kind of interesting. They're trying to bring back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. What else? The Eagles today re-signed Brandon Graham. Let's go to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for a second. I don't really care that him and Debo had this little pissy back and forth thing. All I care about is 2 years ago, he was an Eagle. They were damn good. This year, he was a Lion. They were damn good. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a really good player. If I were the 49ers, I would say it's time to start making the room a little uncomfortable. It might be too comfortable of a room. And I'd put CJ Gardner-Johnson in that room because I think this guy plays for keeps. And the same way, like an Allegretti could help your offensive line, or a McKivitz could help your offensive line in a bunch of different spots because they're versatile. Well, CJ Gardner-Johnson is the defensive backfield equivalent. He can play slot, he can play outside, he can play inside, he can play safety, free, strong. Heck, you could probably play him at linebacker if you wanted to in certain formations and alignments defensively. If I'm the Niners, if I'm John Lynch, I'm going after him. I don't know what his price tag is, but I'm either driving the price tag up on the Eagles or I'm bringing him into the room because to me that guy is a warrior, and I know he talked trash on Debo, but they can figure it out. CJ Gardner-Johnson, come on down. I'm going after him in free agency. What do you think of CJ Gardner-Johnson as a player?
I mean, I love his moxie. I love the way he plays. Guy coming out of Florida, play big ball. My only thing with him is that everything that you said I love about him. He's a heady, conscientious player, versatile player, can play anywhere. That's the type of guy that you want because he can get you out of tough situations in a pinch. Played a little bit of right linebacker in 2000. Played a little bit of reserve linebacker in 2021 with New Orleans. And my only thing with CJ is his health. He only played 3 games last year. So you got to figure out where his body is, on top of the fact of how much he costs. So one of the reasons why he is available is because I feel like maybe there might be questions about his consistency with staying on the field right now at this stage of his career. And it's such a short career. He's only been in the league for 4 years. So we got to figure out. My thing is that I would go all steam ahead on a good corner. Right now, Larry, we know we need a corner. We need at least 3 to 4 defensive linemen. We need a tackle, an interior offensive lineman, and probably a speed threat. Right? That's pretty much a little bit of what we need.
Maybe a linebacker.
Maybe a linebacker. Exactly. Maybe a linebacker. So more oftentimes than not, there's a couple of ways that you can go about this in free agency. We can say we can go after depth and go get some guys. We could swing for the fences and go get just a day one starter, or we can stand pat and really focus everything into the draft, right? And with I tend to believe that the Niners won't be that big players in free agency. You forget we do have a lot of picks. but we're also getting a lot older. We're one of the oldest teams in the league. And I just feel as though that if we keep pushing this free agent situation, free agency used to be something that we used more along the lines of like mid-season guy to kind of help us push along the way. Now, more and more, we're kind of like beholden to free agency to actually kind of keep things going. This will be 2 years in a row if we do swing for the fences and get into big-time free agent, with Javon Hargraves from last year. I just do feel as though that if we do get a guy, and he has to be on the line, I would say Leonard Williams, like we talked about. And again, I'm with Cosmo. If all else fails and they brought back Aziz, I'd be thrilled. It's a spot that we need. It will be a lateral moving culture. Everybody would love the move. He would be here again. And also, it'd be a good problem to have because once Dre gets back from being hurt, then you figure out who you want to trade or move, right? This is a business. I love Dre, but we don't know what he will be once he gets back, right? We just don't know.
Or when he'll be back.
Exactly.
Some people have speculated he'll be back by training camp. How's that possible? How is it possible that you could rupture your Achilles tendon in the Super Bowl and be back by training camp? If that is indeed the case, then times have changed and medical practices have changed because it used to be that was a career ender, or if nothing less, a full year, which would keep him out for the full year. And now it seems like I don't know what they do with the Achilles, but if this guy's back playing NFL football in training camp, I will be shocked. But I love the idea of Aziz Al-Shaair. One, here's the thing. Anytime you go for a free agent, there's the money risk, but then there's also the locker room culture risk. There is no locker room culture risk with Aziz. He fits. You know the guys like him. He understands the expectations. So he fits in your locker room. It's just a matter of, does he fit in your salary structure? He's probably going to get $6-7 million, maybe $8. I'd pay it to him. I think Aziz is exactly the linebacker piece the Niners need to add. That would be a great one. Now, there was another story this week, and I don't know if it's legitimate or not, saying that the Broncos have severe cap problems and they're going to release DJ Jones. And Leverage McLeverage, as I used to call him, is 6'1", 320, 10.5-inch hands, vice grip, strong hands, 6th-round pick out of Ole Miss by the Niners back in 2017. He's got quickness. He's lost some of that quickness, but he's played an average of 16 games over the last 3 seasons. Last year, he had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. What I love about DJ is he's so strong at the point, and he plays the game on his feet. He doesn't get knocked off his feet. So that I would absolutely love if you told me the Niners signed Aziz and brought back DJ Jones, I'd say let's do it. I think that's a great signing. I understand that people think he's too expensive, but if Denver cuts,
that's what I'm getting to, man. He's worth $9 this year.
Yeah, if Denver cuts him though, now it's anybody's ball game. You're not inheriting a deal. They're paying a lot of that dead money, and then he's just winding up on the free agent market.
He's only got a $2.9 million dead cap hit
for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a guy like Jones is exactly what they need as far as opposite Hargrave. Hargrave likes to shoot up the field and rush the passer. So what do you need to play opposite that? You need a guy who's going to stay home and be dominant in the A gap against the run, and that's what DJ Jones is. So if they can get DJ Jones back, I think that's a huge get for the Niners, and maybe better than some bigger name free agent tackles.
No, I agree with that. Now before, I think, paying DJ Jones $9 million a year to be here will be a bit rich to bring him on. But yeah, if they cut him and they have to go ahead and take that dead cap hit, which is really not that bad. It's only 2.9 million. Last year, his dead cap hit was 15.9. So it's a good possibility that he could be a cap casualty and they could let him go. If we picked him up That'd be amazing. But my biggest deal is that who would we let go then? Because we would have to pay for him. DJ Jones, like that's the thing about Aziz and DJ Jones, right? It's not the fact that we're bringing back free agent players, Larry. We're bringing back guys who used to be here, retreads. So they're not going to come back with their tail tucked between their legs, because part of the reason why they're not here is because of the money. Right. So if they come back, they're going to come back with some scratch. They're not just going to come back for a hometown discount. The reason why they left is because they didn't give a hometown discount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but they're also at different stages. I mean, like DJ's been gone for 3 years, right? So, or at least 2. This would be, I guess, the 3rd year away. I don't know. It's like I'm not sure if you're right or wrong on that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the price tag would be on DJ. I don't know what exactly is going through the mind of Aziz. I also don't understand sometimes the markets for some of these guys. Some guys have burgeoning markets, and other guys who I think are better don't have any market at all. So I'm not really sure. I would think that a guy as athletic and as football oriented and as productive as Aziz Al-Shaair would have a huge market, that he would be getting paid tons. But I don't know. I mean, I'm getting the sense that, maybe they could get him for 6, 7, 8 in that range. So we'll have to wait and see. But I definitely love the idea of Aziz coming in, trying to retain Greenlaw, but maybe giving him that injury designation of $2.1 million. Let him get healthy. DJ, I think, would be a phenomenal addition against the run inside. Now, pretty interesting article I read on, I guess Grant wrote it, and it was on Fan Nation. By the way, Grant and I will be streaming on Monday. For those of you who are like, when are you going to stream with Grant again? I said some things. I kind of probably pissed him off. I told him, you know what? I didn't mean it. He said, hey, let's get together. But if we're going to stream, I'd like you to apologize. I said, no problem. So Monday at 3 or 4, we will stream again, and I will be issuing my apology. But he wrote an article, interesting article. What's the bigger 49er need? And he went through a bunch of different spots. One of them was, and I think this is a pretty good article because I think there's some debate on this stuff. What's the bigger need, defensive end or defensive tackle?
Defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Even though you've got Hargrave and Armstead, you'd say defensive tackle.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of agree because Kinlaw, Givens, Sebastian Joseph Day, I think, are all leaving. And Kalia Davis, T.Y. McGill, Spencer Wagee, and Ernest Brown are all question marks. And so you really don't have a single tackle outside of Armstead or Hargrave that you can absolutely rely upon. So I would say defensive tackle is a major need. Defensive end's a need too, but you still have Bosa, Beal, Drake Jackson.
You can get them.
Bryant.
Yeah.
You've got Alex Bear. I mean, you've got a few guys there. Raymond Johnson, the Maryland kid, Sam Ukayanu.
You know what else, Larry? I look at defensive ends like cars, man, like luxury cars. It's like everybody's getting rid of one of them things, man. They're all over the place. You know what I mean? They're just too expensive to keep. They're like luxury cars down in Miami, man. Everybody wants to get the Lambo just for a couple of weeks, pay the fee, rent it, look good in it. But nobody wants to pay that $30,000 oil change. Nobody. You know what I mean? So it's like they use them for what they need to be used for, and then you get rid of them. You don't really just ingest them. So you can get defensive ends everywhere because it's kind of like that's what the sport is. You're going to get edges. But being able to find a big man that can keep up with today's pace of game and stop the run on top of being a pass rusher, that's rare to find. We got to get D tackles.
I like this draft a lot more at D tackle than I do at D end.
Me too.
I mean,
on top of that, they're not really that good this year.
Yeah, I mean, if I could get Danielle Hunter in free agency, man, I would absolutely do it. Why? Because let's look at the D end market in the draft. You got Dallas Turner, who's a freak in nature athlete. I don't know if you saw his workout numbers, but
I'm a Bama boy, man.
Yeah, he's an incredible player, but then he went to Indy and showed that he was a equally impressive athlete.
Yeah.
So Turner is the number one D end. Then there's Jared Verse from Florida State, who I like, I don't love. Then there's Latu from UCLA, who I love, but he's got injury problems. Then there's Chop Robinson from Penn State, who worked out great, but he's not my favorite. He's not my favorite defensive end from Penn State. I mean, I like the other guy more. I like Adisa Isaac more. Then there's Braswell from Alabama, who's he's athletic as hell.
He's just a guy. I've watched. I like Chris Braswell, but I've watched Chris his entire career. He's a jag. He's just a guy,
and he's not that big. I mean, the Niners like guys around 270. He's more like 245, 250. There's a couple guys I really like. Marshawn Nealon from Western Michigan, like him a lot. Jonah Ellis from Utah is amazing. Like, I love the spin moves, and he's just an incredible rusher. But he's another guy, 245, 250. I like Adisa Isaac from Penn State, 6'4", 250.
He's better than the other kid.
Yeah, I think he's a better athlete. I like Gabe Murphy a little bit, but he's 6'2", 250. Two of my favorites in the draft are Muhammad Kamara from Colorado State, but he's 6'1", 250. Miles Cole from Texas Tech's pretty interesting. He's 6'6", 275. Grayson Murphy is Gabe Murphy's twin brother from UCLA. He's not bad. Jalen Harrell from Michigan's not bad, but he's 250. Austin Booker from Kansas ain't bad, but he's 240 pounds. And then there's some guys later I really love. Ayabi Okianoma, who started at Bama and Michigan. Now he's at Charlotte. He's a grad student. I kind of like him. I kind of like Javon Solomon from Troy, who had incredible collegiate production there. I kind of like Jalix Hunt from Houston Christian, but once again, he's 250 pounds. Braden McGregor from Michigan is not bad. He's 250, 260 pounds.
Yeah, like they're all specialists. Like if you think of just body type wise, none of these guys are built to play. If you look at these guys, just from the numbers, you automatically know that none of these boys are built to play 17 games.
To be in that wide 9 as a defensive end.
No, at that size, they're too small.
They're too small. I mean, there's a lot of speed rushers. Sundiata Anderson from Grambling is a really good athlete. He's 6'4", 235. So
you can't do nothing with 235, man.
Yeah, I mean, or you can, but like in a part-time role. It's like you need a bunch of guys running kind of a part-time role. They're looking for somebody 265, 270. So I would say I'd rather do the edge rush in free agency. I could complement it with a late round flyer on one of those guys I just named, but I'm looking at the draft as a defensive tackle mode. So,
what do you think Ruka go?
I mean, I think the Niners. I think for sure he's going to be on the board from like 25. I think his deal is 25 through like right now. I'm looking at a thing they say he's going to be the 88th pick. There's no way.
No way. He lasts that long.
No way. I wouldn't
be mad at him at 31.
I would say he's going to go 25 to 38, somewhere in there. So right in the Niner window. I would take
what else?
At 31. I absolutely would.
I would love Ruka we're butchering his name. I know we are. But I would take Rook
or Ro. It's
or
Rook or Ro. So that's how it's pronounced.
Ruko.
It's basically the H's are silent. So it's Rook or Ro.
Okay, Rook or Ro.
Yep.
So I would love to get Rook or Ro at 31. Also, something else that I feel like is not being mentioned. This is a very deep center draft. There's some good centers in this draft. Like, and usually center is a position where you find maybe one to three that are actually like day one guys that can start and actually be a help. But Larry, I want to say like the first 5 to 6 centers could all play right away in the draft right now. From Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon, 6'3", 330. Zach Frazier out of West Virginia, 6'3", 315.
Love him.
Love Zach Frazier. Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia, 6'4", 298. Very athletic guy. Bo Limmer out of Arkansas, 6'5", 302. Another good starter. And also Delmar Glaze out of Maryland. He's a really good center. And to be honest with you, Hunter Nazard out of Penn State is a really good center. So don't
sleep on the Wisconsin kid either. Bortolini.
Taylor Bortolini. Yeah. Tanner Bortolini. So he's another, and then also the kid out of Florida, Kingsley Eguakon.
Well, and a lot of people think Graham Barton is a center.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is pretty much the most rich offensive line draft we've seen in a long time. Wouldn't you say? This is a really rich O-line draft. And maybe the Niners, if we're going, glass half full, maybe the Niners are looking at this like, all right, we don't need to break the bank. We got the picks. We can find what we need in this year's draft because there is so much talent in the offensive line this draft. There's also another guy that's could be hanging around at 31 is the kid, the right guard out of UConn. What's his name?
Christian Haynes.
Yeah, Christian Haynes, the right guard out of this kid is nasty. And I think he's the best guard in the draft.
It's a great guard draft. Cooper Beebe from K-State, Christian Mahogany from Boston College is just a freaking ridiculous road grader. So and Mason McCormick from South Dakota State, played at the FCS level, but then went to the combine and lit it up. I mean, he was awesome. Trevor Keegan, the captain for the Wolverines, they say is going to be a day 3 pick.
6'5",
there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of really good players for sure at tackle, guard, and center.
Yes, and this would be the year where maybe, let's be fair to the Niners. They could be going into this draft saying, well, there's so much talent from the offensive line all over the place. This really could be the perfect draft for us, where they can get a starter in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, or they can get some really good depth in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds, or pick up a good center in the 2nd round, So I feel like maybe we're looking at it from a tackle position, and we got Colton signed, and we're sitting here saying to ourselves, like, man, that, it's a little bit, anticlimactic, what I'm saying? Anticlimactic, but we may have to let go of the Amarius Mims dreams and say to ourselves, we got to kind of get more bang for our buck because there is so much talent in the pool for offensive line that we may not have to go hardcore to go up in the draft to go get a guy when there's tons of talent in the later rounds, because we just laid them out. There's a lot of guards.
I went and did a bunch of different mock drafts because I'm doing at least one a week, right? For every Monday I do a different mock draft. So I do a couple throughout the week, just testers. And the best drafts that I have are when I go something else with the 1st and 2nd round pick, and then go offensive line like 3 picks in a row in the 3rd and 4th round. I think I think you said it perfectly. The offensive linemen that are going to be there in the 3rd or 4th round in this draft are going to be guys that can start, guys that are going to be viable backups, guys that are going to have 10-year careers. So, I have them going with the Aurora Rose and the, Cedric Gray and some of the.
It's not a heavy D tackle draft. I think that what's going to be small, what's really small and talent this year is going to go first. You're going to see D tackles get up out of here fast. You're going to see corners go fast, right? You're going to see backs. It's going to be a long time until we see a back get drafted. This is a very weak running back class. So it's all O-line this year, to be honest. The talent of the draft this year is quarterback, O-line, up and down the O-line. I would say there's some pretty good, maybe some good linebackers and some safeties. There's some really good safeties this year.
Well, and it's funny. It's like I think that the one spot where you probably got to go veteran is defensive end. I was already talking before about Brian Burns and Daniil Hunter and those guys, but Daniel Popper of the Chargers beat writer for the Athletic came on the radio here and was saying that he thinks Joey Bosa coming to the Niners is a very real possibility. He said that Bosa badly wants to play with Nick. That Joey, and Nick together reuniting might be something that is of interest. I don't know what the Chargers are going to do. Are they going to cut him? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to cut Khalil Mack? Are they going to trade Khalil Mack? They got major cap problems. It's year one of the Harbaugh regime. They got a whole new way of thinking there. But if Joey Bosa became available, I know he's had injuries, Coach, but if you could get him at a reasonable price, which is a big if, that might be a nice little combination. What do you think of the Bosa brothers potentially getting together?
I don't like it. Nick's already getting 34. What are we going to be paying Joey? The last thing we need is some type of like internal coup with these guys stonewalling the organization and our bookend ends aren't signed. Like, I don't. It just seems it's a little too close for comfort, in my opinion. And if you just want to take the family element out of it, I need to see more consistency from Joey Bosa as a player. He's being paid a lot of money, and he may be Melo going into OKC and may not know it yet. When Melo finally remember when everybody knew that Carmelo Anthony's career had changed, but him when he had left the Knicks and he had finally gone to OKC. And they sat him down, and he was newly acquired at OKC. And a reporter asks him, "What's your approach to what's your approach for coming off the bench? Like, how do you feel about that? To come off the bench and be a support to the young core that's here." And Melo laughed at the reporter and said, "He looked at Paul George. AP, they think I'm coming off the bench." And the joke was on him. Everybody else was looking at Melo like, "Oh, so you think you're still a star?" No. You're here to help out what's already happening here. And I just don't want Joey Bosa to come here and have a PG-13 moment where it's like, no, your brother runs the show. You're here to support what's going on. And it's going to reflect the way you're utilized. It's going to reflect the way you play. And it's also going to be reflected in your paycheck as well. I don't think that all of that's going to happen. So it may be a hard fall from grace for him to realize that he's not worth eight figures a year anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's an interesting. To me, it's like there's no way I'm interested in Joey Bosa at the Joey Bosa prices of yesteryear. I'm looking at his injuries. He's had hamstring strains. He's had multiple concussions. He's had foot bruises. He's had a groin tear. He's been banged up a lot. He missed the final 3 games of this year with a foot injury. He also had a hamstring injury early in the year. They're saying it would be a buy low deal. The Chargers would eat north of $21 million in dead money with a post-June 1st designation. Without that number balloons to $28 million in dead money. So I don't know what the deal is going to be, but Daniel Popper said, I wouldn't rule it out. At the end of the day, Joey Bosa has been pretty public about the fact that he's always wanted to play with his brother. Joey has a base salary of $15 million this year and $17 million next year. I'm not super fluent in the Niners cap, but that's what you would be taking on for now for 24 and 25.
There's no way in hell.
Would you rather have Chase Young at 12.5, or Chase Young is probably going to come in close to around that $15 million price tag anyway. Would you rather have Chase Young or Joey Bosa?
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
At least Chase Young is younger. He's got more to prove. We can gaslight his lazy ass. At least he knows that we know that he's lazy, so he'll play hard. And he's got much more of an upside because Chase Young, for as talented as he is, I just think that he's incredibly raw. He's not really polished. And he's got a lot of meat left on the bone as far as the development side of his game. And he can get better. I think that he played out of shape. He could stand to lose some weight. There's a lot of improvement that can happen with Chase on top of him actually getting through a full year off of a traumatic career-ending injury a year and a half before. So we could also see another uptick in Chase as far as being more confident on that leg. That's something that I didn't mention while he was playing because he wasn't giving me the opportunity to be nice to him because like the effort situation was so bad. But he is coming off of an injury, a really serious injury that takes more than a year of playing to get acclimated to. So he will gain more confidence in that knee. And honestly, I didn't have a problem with Chase Young's effort and how he played in the Super Bowl. So if we're going like player for player, I mean, Joey Bosa can't even like stay healthy. He can't even stay consistent for me to talk about what he can do because you never know when the floor is going to fall out with another injury. On top of the fact that just pound for pound, I just think that Chase Young has a better body, you know.
By the way, Kyle Bob has thrown this one in. He says Jerry Jeudy traded to Cleveland for 2 draft picks. I saw that there for a minute. I had to go look for it online because ESPN.com doesn't even have it yet. But Roto World, I did find this, and Brother Bob is right. He said ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting the Broncos agreed to trade Jerry Jeudy to the Browns in exchange for a 2024 fifth and a 2024 sixth. The Broncos only got a fifth and a sixth
for Jerry
Jeudy. That's a great deal for the Browns.
What's his number? His cap look like?
It's gotta be high.
Let me see.
But that's a good, so this is the time of year where because of the money, you'll see players go for price tags and draft picks that make no sense. Where a guy's good and all of a sudden he gets traded for a 6th-round pick. I'm not saying Jerry Judy's great or anything because he hasn't come of age yet, but a 5th and a 6th. Jerry Jeudy is
like, I see Jerry Judy's ceiling is Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper's got better ball skills, but Jerry Jeudy maybe got a little bit more explosiveness. At least did. Also, Diana Rossini of The Athletic is reporting the Steelers are listening to offers for wide receiver Deontay Johnson.
Really?
That's kind of interesting. So we're going to see a bunch of names shopped and moved, and you're going to see all kinds of guys out there available. If I say to you, Coach, give me your draft crush, give me somebody in the draft that you're just so fired up about for the Niners. Is there one that stands out to you? Is there a guy?
Amarius Mims, but
you love Amarius Mims.
I love Amarius Mims. That's my guy. I've been talking about. I brought him up on this show in like November, like October. You know what I'm saying? Like while the college season was still going on, we were talking about Amarius Mims. So I in so many ways, he's the perfect fit because he's got a lot of upside. He's only started 8 games, all right, in the last year that he played. The 8 games that he did play, phenomenal. Okay, like a man amongst boys against the best teams in the nation. He's fast. He's athletic. He's got really good feet. He's got very strong hands. He plays with independent hands, which is something that a lot of advanced offensive linemen, it takes a long time for them to do. He does it naturally. He knows how to play with strength in both hands and still handle his assignment. On top of the fact that he's just a ball of clay as far as like process is concerned, what type of offense that you can put him in right now. He's a blank canvas. He hasn't played enough football where he's kind of locked into his skill set. Whereas you can get him here and he'd be perfect. Not only would he be great at the right tackle spot, but he would elevate the entire offensive line down the line. And not considering the Trent Williams effect. Trent's going to go. You can take Amarius and stick him right over there at that left side when Trent goes. And that's your left tackle for the next 10 years. He's that good. So if something was to happen to him, maybe, I don't have a crystal ball, but he is my draft crush. Outside of that, I love Christian Haynes. I think Christian Haynes is a great guard. He's fast, strong. Some of the best things that he does is I've never seen somebody reach block like him. He is a phenomenal reach blocker on the wide zone. If we picked him up, I mean, we'd run wide zone to the right side just as efficient as we run it to the left. He's that good. So Christian Haynes at right guard coming out of UConn. And he has a motor. He's never tired. Always pushing for the next level. Nasty defender of the second level. Also, one thing about Christian Haynes is that he's a conscientious football player, especially in processing. I mean, how many times do you see a guard calling out pass protections, calling out mics? I mean, that's usually something for centers, or sometimes when tackles are getting locked up to communicate to centers to what's going on the other side of the play. I've seen many plays with Christian Haynes where he's at guard correcting his center, telling him what protections to go to. So, I mean, that's another guy that would be a great addition to what we do. And then also our boy out of UNC, linebacker.
Cedric Gray.
Cedric Gray. I mean, another one-on-one guy. I think he shoots off the charts as far as just production. He just gets it done. Tons of tackles, tons of heady plays. I mean, he's the type of linebacker where he plays fast, but he's not read and react. It's like he knows exactly what's happening on the field at all times. And he's another plus athlete in the run game and in pass protection, especially in dropping back in zone. So those are kind of like my guys, Christian Haynes, Cedric Gray, and Amarius Mims. Those are kind of my guys. And then also all of the centers. I love all the centers. This is a great center draft.
I love Frazier from West Virginia, the center, but Cedric Gray, brother Bob says, wait, Cedric Gray is my draft crush. Yeah, no, I really like, to me, Cedric Gray is just a machine. I mean, he's like Warner, he's like Greenlaw, he's the safest pick in the draft. That guy is just, he runs, he hits, he he's just an awesome player. I also love Max Melton, the corner from Rutgers. He rallies up like an absolute, hits like a truck, rallies up against, sets edges. But he also ran 4.3 at the combine. I love Aurora as well. But yeah, Cedric Gray and Max Melton would be my two guys. And I'm like, man, if you can get those guys, you're just, that would be really, really, really impressive for me. Because one of the reasons, I mean, I think Steve Wilkes, people say, well, did Wilkes get a bad deal? The bad deal that he got was that he came into a defense that had lost like 5 or 6 good run defenders. And then it was like, well, they're not as good against the run. And it's got to be Steve. Well, no, it wasn't Steve. It was Aziz and Ebukam and Jimmy Ward and Emmanuel Mosley. And all these guys were really damn good against the run. And they all walked out the door. And then you brought in Hargrave, who's more of a pass rusher. And we're like, whoa, we're not as good against the run. And I told Shanahan coming out of camp, I'm like, are you concerned about the run D? And he's like, well, in the past, we've really stopped the run. So if it's based on the past, no. And if it's based on the preseason, yes. Yeah, but the past, you didn't have the guys you had in the preseason are the guys you have. And the guys you had in the past are on other teams. So, yeah. And then sure enough, that became a problem throughout the year. I think they got to get a whole lot better against the run on all 3 levels of the defense. It's not just about the defensive end. What about quarterback room? Where I mean, the Niners have 3 quarterbacks: Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen. 2 of them are free agents. There's all kinds of speculation about, Justin Fields and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson and all these guys from past drafts that have not come of age or have been inconsistent are now on the trade market. In your ideal world, I mean, like, I love Joe Milton. We talked about Joe Milton, but Joe Milton probably is more of a developmental guy. Mm-hmm. And would be like slated as the number 3. So I'm okay with Joe Milton if they went Brandon Allen number 2, but in some worlds, it's like I'm thinking at that quarterback room, and I'm like, you know what? If you could get somebody who's a little bit more ready to go right now, if Brock Purdy goes down, let's say Brock Purdy went down for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
In the current scenario, the Niners are, when we don't know who they're going to have as far as Darnold. I'm not a Darnold guy. I think if Brock Purdy this year went out for 6 or 7 weeks, the Niners would have lost games with Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold was good enough, but other people do. So if I say to you, give me your quarterback room for the Niners this upcoming year, what's the best quarterback room you can come up with?
Brock Purdy, Brandon Allen, 2, and a rookie. I think it's feasible. And if I had to go for a rookie, that we could pick up and get a real rookie. Don't get
Who do you like?
Jordan Travis out of Florida State.
Let me ask you the ultimate question, Coach, because this is where they're slated to go. I'm just looking at Draft Tech, which is just a ranking system. It's nothing. It's not religion or anything. It's just they're just projecting. This is what they have. This is where they have the quarterbacks going.
Okay.
Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 3, Jaden Daniels 6, JJ McCarthy 13, Michael Penix Jr. 16, Bo Nix 27. So they have 6 quarterbacks in the first round, all going in front of the Niners. When the Niners hit the board, they're looking at Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, who the Niners did meet with, Joe Milton, Jordan Travis, Sam Hartman, Keaton Slovis, Devin Leary, Carter Bradley, Austin Reed. After that, it's a bunch of guys. But what do you think? Which quarterback, what rookie do you want in there?
I'd take Jordan Travis. I like him, man. 3-star recruit, came out of West Palm Beach, Florida, played a year at Louisville, then came over to Florida State. He's a good processor. I wouldn't say that he has a plus arm, but he's got an NFL arm, accurate, knows how to run an entire offense. And when he went down last year, that's something that, I don't know a lot of people who watch college ball, but I do. And he's got pro-grade attributes. And as soon as that team went down, Florida State was kind of like the worst kept secret in college football as far as getting snubbed this year. If Jordan Travis would have played the entire year, Florida State may well, I don't know if they would have won the Natty, but they at least would have been in the playoff, in my opinion. One thing that I like about Jordan Travis is that he's got a good arm. He's accurate. He stands out with elite throwing mechanics from the waist up. He's really good with ball security. He's got disciplined footwork. And he's mentally sharp and consistent with demonstrating poise and rapid decision-making. I think that he runs a quick offense out there in Tallahassee, and he'd be somebody that has the skill set that could take what Kyle's going to give him, right? Because we've been here long enough. We know that if there's a quarterback that comes into the 49ers, he's going to be mentally stressed to be able to do exactly what he's asked to do. And I feel like that's the reason why Jordan Travis actually emerged from his earlier years, is because he got in a system that kind of took away all of the great attributes he has as an athletic runner and a mobile guy, and kind of strapped him into the pocket and made him carry out an offense. It's kind of what the Niners do. I think Jordan Travis will be a good little addition to us for our quarterback room.
I'm going Purdy as the 1, Brandon Allen back as the 3. And if I can, I'm making a trade for Mac Jones.
What are you doing?
Because here's the thing.
Why, Larry?
Because I don't want to see. I don't believe that a rookie or Brandon Allen, if Brock Purdy went down. The reality is it's the NFL. You could have a quarterback go down for 6 weeks.
That is
if you
nasty
have a
work.
If you have a quarterback that goes down for 6 weeks, if you go 0-6, you've wasted a year on the quarterback. I think the Niners need to get a quarterback in there that has a lot of the same traits as Brock, who can play if Brock can't play. The reason I also like Mac Jones is Mac Jones is tied to a $2.79 million base salary this year. Mm-hmm. So that's all anybody who acquires him needs to pick up if they take a flyer on him. I think the Mac Jones that we saw as a rookie is more in line with who that guy really is. I'm a little concerned about the culture and his attitude and that kind of thing, but the Patriots are clearly looking to shop him.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but he didn't get along with Belichick.
Okay.
And then they threw a bunch of defensive coaches at him for a year, and he wasn't very good. Then this last year, he's only heading into his age 26 season. And, I know the Jets are shopping Zach Wilson, and I like Zach Wilson's potential too.
For
but
what?
I really do. Well, because Zach, to play quarterback in the NFL? I think, look at it this way. I did a little breakdown the other day. Okay.
Get to it.
On quarterbacks, right?
All right.
And right now, and this is the way this always works, and you and I know this. This is what I love about doing the stream with you. We can be honest with one another. Honestly, every year going into the draft, we talk about these quarterbacks like they're all going to make it. The year that we're talking about with Mac Jones and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, everybody thought all those guys were going to be good. And then you fast forward to the present, and they're not good. So these guys are all Hall of Famers. Terry Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Roger Staubach, Dan Fouts, Sonny Jurgensen, Kurt Warner, Lenny Dawson. They were all crap. They were all bad in their first 3 or 4 years. Then you look at these guys right now in the draft: Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. All 6 are projected to go in the first round. Everybody thinks all these guys are going to be great. But then we have this other group of quarterbacks that's in the league right now: Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Sam Darnold, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, Davis Mills, Sam Howell, Trey Lance, Jake Browning, Drew Lock, Bryce Young, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Aiden O'Connell. They're all under 27. One or two of those guys, Coach, is going to eventually be good. And I'm not sure which it is. And I don't know if the Niners know either. But I would almost rather take a chance knowing what I know about. I'd rather take a chance on one of those guys who's already failed.
Well,
I like Justin Fields' potential. I believe that Trey Lance is going to be good long term. I love Kyler Murray. I'd take him right now. And Zach Wilson, everybody thinks is awful right now. I think Zach Wilson just got into a bad situation. I think he'll have a decent career. Mac Jones had a good first year, then kind of has fallen on his face. I think if he gets into a better spot, could have a decent career. I think Bryce Young in a year or two is going to be pretty good. I'm just saying there's a lot of you pay a premium if you want the guys in the draft. And then there's these other guys who, are kind of been left for dead. And I just think that a few of those guys are going to be able to play. And if I'm the Niners, I want to save money on the cap so I can go spend it other places. You paid Sam Darnold $5-point-something million last year and Brandon Allen $1 million. How about pay Mac Jones 2.5, Brandon Allen, pay him $1 million, pay Purdy, $900,000, and have a super cheap quarterback room and see if you can go spend the money on an edge rusher or a linebacker or a corner. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard cap. They got so many picks. I would throw a day 3 pick to New England for Mac Jones and roll the dice. If Mac Jones was happy to be here in that number 2 role, because Darnold was cool with the role and wound up being a huge positive for Brock Purdy. If he hadn't been cool with the role, it wouldn't have worked out. So I got to find out, what Mac's mindset is. But if his mindset's okay, I'd take a shot on him. Why not?
All right. Well, let's take a trip back in time, way back,
like dinosaurs
to 2021,
okay.
Man.
All right.
One thing that just like I do, Larry, is that football is a game of process, right? And everything affects one another. And I feel like a lot of people like yourself are trying to answer this quarterback question where it seems as though that there are a lot more mediocre to young to, dare I say, trash quarterbacks in the league now that are falling off. And I feel like your explanation is nice, because you're going back into time and looking at all of these guys who kind of stuck it through. But the facts are is that a lot of these guys got overdrafted and they got over evaluated because it was COVID. And there's a lot of guys who slipped through the cracks getting into the league, not just quarterbacks, but notably quarterbacks, because they're so noticeable that if there was a traditional year where we had the time to look at these guys and nobody was in a rush to be able to make news or make things happen, we would probably look at these guys a little bit more, especially throughout a COVID year. Like Zach Wilson got hot in a COVID year. Mac Jones was a one-year starter on a loaded Alabama team in a COVID year with the Heisman Trophy winner on his team and other first-round picks. Trey Lance was on a team that didn't even play a whole season, and he played 1 year in the COVID year. Like, so I kind of feel as though that a lot of these guys are who we thought they were when they first started into the league, but because quarterback is a romanticized position and we just want these guys to have as much opportunities as possible, some guys, then these guys get to retread and, get a shot and get picked up somewhere else and get looked at as, having a viable talent in the NFL. But for me, Mac Jones has played 42 games in the NFL. I know who the hell he is. When he first came into the league, he averaged 67% completion rate. All right. That was it. Since then, he's gone down. The year after that, he was 65. This year, he was 64. All right. He threw for 3,800 yards his first year, 29, and barely threw over 2,000 this year. And he's thrown over 10 picks every year he's been in the league, bro. So, no, I've seen enough. He got 42 games. All right. He's mid. All right. And he's got an attitude problem on that. You got to pick a struggle. You can't be athletically challenged and be a dick. Like, no. Like, no. That's like the fat chick being mean. It's like you gotta pick a struggle. You can't be ugly and mean. If you ugly, you gotta be nice.
But
okay?
You're a big Bama fan. You clearly saw Mac Jones play not just good, but awesome football for your team. Mm-hmm. So you're saying this despite having seen that. I mean, you saw him be really good. And people saying, why are you even bringing this up, Krug? I'll tell you why. There was a story that came out this week. NFL Network's James Palmer told Denver sports station that several coaches at the NFL Combine expressed that if Mac Jones had been a 49er, that the Niners would have already won multiple Lombardi trophies. Now, whether you agree with that or not, I'm probably not going to agree with that. I do see that Mac Jones has some value. I think he's pretty smart guy. I think he processes what he sees. I just didn't want him when they traded up to 3 because of what you're talking about, the physical limitations and the fact that maybe he had been made to look better because he played on an awesome Bama team. Mm-hmm. But if you could get him for a day 3 pick, to me, it's all about the price tag. Sure. If you can get him for a day 3 pick and pay him $2.5 million, I'd much rather do that than trade, 3 number ones and a 3rd round pick, move up, and then take him over Fields and Lance when Fields and Lance had so much more physical potential. Now, here we are a few years down the road. Lance has not gotten on the field at all. Fields has shown that high-end potential in glimpses, but he's also struggled.
He's not consistent at all.
And then Jones played well as a rookie, really well, and then really didn't play well the next couple of years. I'm just saying that I like
and they got to release him because he's due $25 million next year.
Mac next year.
Mac Jones. Sorry, yeah, Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take a 1-year flyer on this guy and see what he can do. I mean, here's my thing: if Brock Purdy goes down, but he's not done for the year, I don't want the season to go up in smoke because they don't have a backup that's ready to step in and play and win.
That's true.
And I don't really believe in Sam Darnold. I don't know what to believe in when it comes to Brandon Allen. So I don't know. That's my only real thing. I personally don't think Mac is a superstar, but I do think he can play efficient football in the Niners system with all the talent they have around him. And he would interest me. He would interest me, especially if the price were really low.
Yeah,
for 1 year.
As a backup, having him in the building, I mean, if Kyle likes him and the guy, they've shown that they're going to do it literally whatever they want. So if Sam Darnold was the next Steve Young, then, Mac Jones is the next Joe Montana. Who knows? We'll be hearing it by August. Who knows? So we'll see.
Couple last thoughts. I got to get on the field bottom of the hour for a little baseball, which is why we started early today, guys. So I know there's a bunch of people going, "Hey man, I got in here late." I wanted to do 9 a.m., but then I looked, I got to be on the field at 10:30 West Coast for baseball. So I'm like, I don't want to shortchange the coach going into free agency because we got a lot of topics to hit, and we're about an hour and 16 minutes into this live stream. So a number of you who got in late, we did cover some of these.
Yeah, we're sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, we're sorry about that, and we'll try to get to our regular schedule. But as we normally do, we got over 1,100 people in the room, and a lot of people are enjoying the Coach Krueger extravaganza, which is one of my favorite streams of the week. You got a topic that we haven't covered that before we get to a couple of these supers. Is there a topic that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover?
The 49ers have not picked a pass game coordinator. And I was wondering if the acquisition we just signed another coach, did we not?
Mick Lombardi.
Yeah, Mick Lombardi. I wonder if that's the other domino to fall, because we've been waiting for our coaching staff to be finished. The whole coaching staff to be finished being hired, and that's the one name that we all been kind of. I don't feel like anybody's been really pounding it, but we don't have a pass game coordinator right now. So we lost. I believe we lost Coach Kubiak to New Orleans, and we've been trying to figure out who's going to come in that fill in that position right now. So do you believe that it's Lombardi to fill in that position?
I don't.
Or is so right now there's a coaching position. There's a coaching position on the offensive side of the ball that's at large right now.
And I know I don't know tons about Mick Lombardi. I know Michael Lombardi is his dad.
Okay.
And I know that the Niners hired Mick and they haven't given him a title yet. He came in, he was a mid 30-year-old assistant coach to Harbaugh in 2013, stayed under Tom Sula, stayed under Chip Kelly, and then left for the Jets when Shanahan took over. But now he's back, and obviously he must be well thought of by the organization. Otherwise, he wouldn't be back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be the passing game coordinator or what he's going to be an offensive assistant coach. From what I can tell,
he may be that guy then.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's the guy. Mm-hmm. What was your take on? I mean, we kind of talked about it last week, but Staley and Sorensen. What did you think of that?
Well, like I said, glass half full is that Kyle is pivoting. This is his first defensive assistant head coach that he's had since he's been here. Before it was Embry for, I believe, 4 years. And then Mike McDaniel, Coach Lynn took over. And then we just had Coach, not Coach Lynch, but who was the other assistant offensive head coach that we had? We had Lynn, we had Embry, and there was somebody else shoved in between there. Lynn, Embry.
I'd have to look it up.
I'm sorry. But anyway, this is the first defensive assistant head coach that Kyle has had. This is a guy that comes in from a defensive side of the ball. Coincidentally enough, another fire head coach from the Chargers. But he can help. I mean, it has been reported that Kyle spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball, more than customarily so. He actually did the defensive game plan for the Super Bowl. this year. So if I'm being fair to Kyle, which I try my best to be, this may be him bringing on somebody that can help take the load off. You know, you got a rookie defensive coordinator in Nick Sorensen, where right now, let's just be honest. We can talk. This is what gave me solace with the Wilkes firing. I got closure on this point alone. The players weren't feeling him. If you cannot connect with your players, I do not care how smart you are. I don't care how creative and how hard of a worker you are as a coach. You cannot be in the building if your voice is not heard. Full stop. Okay. So with that said, Nick Sorensen's the hire. So he's a friendly voice. The players respect him, but there will be some processing errors with him being the man. I feel like getting a defensive assistant head coach and Brandon Staley, who's himself has been a DC, albeit for 1 year, can help Nick along the way throughout the season with game planning, putting together defensive schemes. Also, I would like to see what Brandon Staley's involvement is going to be during game time, because that's where we get into Kyle's issue, is real-time adjustments, thinking on the fly, game management, and maybe having another guy in there that he can respect from another perspective of the ball could help him out. So I'm choosing to go glass half full on this because we just don't have enough information yet. And right now, you know, everything is looking on the up and up. So it's like all system go until we get more information.
You know, it's so funny, though, because it's like Brandon Staley has mismanaged so many games, and Shanahan has also mismanaged a bunch of games. So now we're going to get these guys together, and it's like double negative makes a positive, right? It's
I mean, I've said that Brandon Staley is the defensive version of Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion. Yeah. Super smart, creative, has some of the most unique defensive concepts for how he puts together game plans. But once you get past all of the bells and whistles, he is a horrible game adjuster. He will not pivot at all. So him and Kyle, I mean, it's almost kind of like him and Kyle. Kyle was like, could you imagine him in the meeting? It's just Kyle's just like, something about this guy. I just like this guy, man. It's something about you, Brandon. It's like, what is it, man? I'm hiring this guy. I'm pulling the trigger. So, you know, they are alike in a lot of different ways, but maybe they will bring out the best in each other by taking the workload off of each other. Because I do see that at times with Brandon Staley with the Chargers, he was a little bit overwhelmed with having to deal with all of the team and not being able to just, you know, be on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like these guys can help each other out.
Last question before we jet. I'm looking at BetUS odds. And, you know, it's funny. This is how the world of media, coach, has changed. We used to look at reports, but now it's like reports, you know, I don't know. It's like sometimes I look more at the odds than the reports. They have the Falcons at 3-1 to trade for Reddick from the Eagles. The Lions at 5-1. The Niners are at the third choice. They're at 7-1. What do you think of Hassan Reddick in a trade from the Eagles to the Niners? Would you put a thumbs up on that?
What's his money like?
I'm not
What's
sure.
What's he looking, Hassan Reddick, financially? Hold on, let me see.
I don't know what his money looks like, but I mean, just as a player, do you like that idea? He's a speed rusher.
No,
240 pounds.
No. We don't need speed rushers in the wide nine. That's what's so unique about getting guys in our defense, because you do need somebody that is fast enough to be able to take that natural angle to the quarterback from being in that wide nine position, but also be strong enough to hold down that gap and be able to crash down and run protection. I just think that Hassan, there's a reason why he's available, is because he is kind of he's a bland player in that he's straight up and down, no frills. He's just a pass rusher.
A couple supers before we jet. Dale says pipe dream for Mike Owenu. No chance now. I would say that's probably not going to happen. Alan from Coles, good to see you, Alan. He said, did you see the cornerback from Toledo squats 500 pounds? Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell, amazing talent. Alien or Alan from Coles says, what are your all thoughts on Jeudy going for a 5th and a 6th?
We covered that.
We already touched on that, but 2 seems really low. Matt Wadsworth, explain why you think McKivitz is a C option.
Center option.
A center option. I think, I've talked to him before, and I know he can play all 5 spots. I've talked to Forster before, And I just think that he's got the intelligence, he's got the footwork, he's got the strength. I think he could do it. I think McKivitz could be a better center than Brendel. I really do believe that. And I
He's
also
nastier
kind
than
of,
him.
yeah, and I think Zakel is also a pretty good center option. I think Feliciano's a center option. I think Brendel could be vulnerable if they need to redo somebody or cut somebody. Coach, I got to run. I got baseball at the top of the hour. The Braves, we're starting the regular season for the kids. A lot of little league stuff. My kid is giving me a dirty look like, Dad, we're supposed to have left by now.
Oh, that's what you're looking at?
Yeah, I was looking over at him. He's like, Dad, we got to go. Coach, have a great one. Thanks to everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. We'll see you next week. Peace.